PMS, pregnancy, menopause. Being a woman is a lot. Ollie supports you and yours with expert solutions for every age and life stage. They just launched 2 new products exclusively at Walmart. Period Hero combats bloat, mood swings, and more during PMS. And Balance Perimeno to support hormonal balance, mood, and metabolism during perimenopause. Grab yours at ollie.com.
Ollie!
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
James Flippin here on the other side of midnight. And we're joined right now by Brian Kilmeade, the host of Fox and Friends, One Nation on Fox News. He's a syndicated radio host. He's got speaking events. He's an author. I mean, what don't you do, Brian? That's really probably the better thing. We would kind of maybe be able to start it out a little bit shorter doing it that way. What's going on, Brian?
Sing and dance. I'm not a big singer or dancer, so
right.
Yeah. I don't consider myself vaudevillian in that way. But the other stuff is just fun.
If it was vaudevillian, the good thing about that is you just close up shop and you move on to the next city. And then if it's not any good, then they don't hear about it in the next
Exactly.
time. So,
right. If it is 1910 or 1890, you're right.
Right. If we're going back to the era of tariffs the first time around, then maybe we would be doing some vaudeville stuff. But, Brian, I wanted to ask you about this because I was chatting about it just recently. That was pretty moving and powerful stuff yesterday at the White House. The Abrego Garcia stuff, kind of more or less on the front end with Caroline Leavitt, answered, the Department of Homeland Security evidence of his gang ties. And this is not just the innocent jailed father that you've been led to believe. And then we had Patty Morin, the mother of Rachel Morin, sort of leaving the White House press corps speechless. So I'm wondering if you think that that press event yesterday and just kind of all that it entails kind of puts to bed the Abrego Garcia Maryland dad controversy that's been bubbling up.
Well, let's see. I watched the repeat of ABC's Nightly News, and they said they did the whole story, Maryland man, taken mistakenly, that the administration admitted to an El Salvador prison. And the administration is now being held in contempt for not doing enough to get him back. Now, to balance out the story, it turns out they have testimony from the cop that arrested him, and he had the see no evil, hear no evil, whatever that MS-13 tattoo. Got it. Wearing a Bulls hat, which means you're in good stead. Picked up with a bunch of MS-13 guys not working for Home Depot, outside Home Depot. 2 judges said that he was MS-13. And now you have a situation where twice his common law wife or actual wife has filed orders protections against him. And if you read the orders that we have in our Fox system, she was afraid for her own welfare. 2 separate times she called the cops because she was assaulted by her husband, who she now has got a GoFundMe page to support. So good luck, Senator Van Hollen. Let's not even reach out to the Marin family in Maryland. Let's not even have any regrets that you didn't cooperate with ICE as they found her, Rachel Marin's killer, mother of 5. She went for a jog. That was her crime. Mm-hmm. And while they have the sentence, Van Hollen finds himself in El Salvador looking to try to get into the prison, which they didn't let him in. And he makes a statement to El Salvadoran press, who are the best. And now everybody is supposed to feel bad for him, but not to Joe Biden for letting 8 million in illegally, for 2.5 million gotaways. They say the 16-year-old came to America to avoid MS-13. That's a new one. Came at 16 with his parents to avoid MS-13, and then ends up on a Home Depot as a member of that group, according to 2 judges. You know what they say on ABC? The case was the 2 domestic violence case. Both cases were closed. Excuse me? Both cases were closed, yeah. The wife decided to drop the charges, but not after taking in the description twice. Now, do you think if you or I were accused twice of beating our spouses, they'd go, well, the case is closed?
Yeah, and
they'd say, let me give you the detail.
And they also are so quick to say that, the whole aspect of being a victim of domestic violence is that you often do go back to your abuser, or that you do want to say, oh, no, he's not as bad. It all bubbled over. This is the father of my children and that kind of stuff. I mean, where are you at with this particular thing, even if it wasn't, let's say, Abrego Garcia? Because on our New York affiliate, I was hearing a lot about this recently with the whole idea of if it's 8 bad guys to 2 good guys, you get 10 people deported, let's say. 8 of them are truly bad gangbangers, just as we thought they were. Maybe 2 of them are, in fact, illegal immigrants, but we're not up to that. Is that something that you would consider, more or less acceptable from a raw numbers perspective? Like, nothing's perfect, right?
Well, a couple of things. I mean, I expect our people, ICE, to get it right. And I expect law enforcement to get it right. This guy was in front of a judge twice. So, for his status, for being in the wrong place, and in front of a judge, and I'm reading the order. In 2019, they said he is MS-13. And then they said he is in danger of getting, his welfare's in danger because of MS-13.
Right.
Well, that danger was eliminated thanks to that great president in El Salvador. He jailed all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, listen, I'm not for, if there's somebody in prison now unjustly, that's one too many. But we have to have a system where we just had a president let in millions of people. And now we have 540,000 from Cuba, Venezuela, Haiti, and Nicaragua who got special dispensation here without any screening because they're in terrible countries. And they all of a sudden were let in. A judge just ruled that they have to, every one of them have due process. It would take 25 years to screen 500,000 people, many of which will lawyer up.
Right.
So,
and J.D. Vance was talking about that the other day, more or less saying, like, that's a whole process that would be totally impossible. The whole aspect of giving, millions and millions of people.
Well, I think it has a lot
trial.
to do with what they did in Virginia. They found the MS-13 guy who in Virginia, and he was a higher up in there. He was running basically the East Coast. And they said, you know what? We're not even going to charge him. Send him the hell back.
Mm-hmm.
Just get him out of here and go from prison to prison. Because we don't want to go through the gymnastics of these judges, left-wing judges in this case, this Boasberg, who wants to make a name for himself. So let's just keep him out of the system, and most importantly, keep you and I safe and everyone listening safe.
Yeah, what a novel concept. Brian Kilmeade here. He is obviously the Fox News host of Fox and Friends, One Nation. You hear him as a syndicated radio host, and he's an author, so it's great to have him here. But a lot of different stuff going on that we're chatting about. One of them, this whole constitutional crisis, as we're hearing, in terms of the court saying you got to get this guy back, and then people saying it's not due process. You mentioned him, Brian, Nayib Bukele, the president of the El Salvador government there. I wanted to play you this because this is something I saw online. Such a brilliant comment by him in terms of this whole concept of due process rights. Cut 27.
What about the human right of a woman not to be raped? I mean, what about the human right of kids to play or to be free or to go to the park? And what about the human right to live or the human right to walk in the street, right? But no, they were worried about the human rights of the killers.
Yeah, so how about that, Brian?
I think this guy's made a lot of sense. First person to expose me to him, and I read about it, was Tucker. Tucker Carlson went down and interviewed him in El Salvador. And I thought, what's this guy doing? He literally, and then 60 Minutes, it's available online, covered him. And they just basically said, and they tried to focus on some people that he picked up that they claim weren't in MS-13, but how he cleaned up the streets. Because he just going in with pure power and said, done with the cartels, done with the gang members, you're all going to jail. And he did it. Now you can walk the streets are safer in San Salvador than New York City. And that's a fact. So that's what he did. He had to go in hard. And that's what Trump is doing. Not like a Central American president. I get it. There's different countries, different demands. Sure. But he says unforgiven. You have to know something. People that know Trump know this. If you talk about those 13 families in Afghanistan, if you talk about the angel families like Rachel Marin's mom, so when the cameras are gone and the rallies don't exist, he still stays in touch with them. They're still invited to White House events. He listens to their stories. After she spoke at the press room, she came and went to the Oval Office and hung out with President Trump after. He cares about it. So he sits there and he says, I got this power. I got great law enforcement, great people around me. So how do I help? And the answer is how you help is you unleash them to do their job, like Tom Homan. And then you have people pushing back saying immigrants, we're a nation of immigrants and things that are just flat out illogical. And I don't think he cares. where maybe another president might go, wait a second, this is not good for the midterms. He's like, I could not care less. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And you saw it first in 2015 when he came down the escalator and said, Mexico's not sending us their best. Everyone's like, oh, my God, you just alienated the Hispanic vote. He goes, not really.
Yeah.
I'm just the criminals. The criminals probably not voting for me anyway.
That moment when you realize your skincare is actually working. That's Rodan and Fields, the #1 female dermatologist-founded skincare brand in the U.S. Designed by 2 dermatologists who don't just know women's skin, they know how to formulate for it. Rodan and Fields, love what you see. Tap the banner or visit rodanandfields.com/Spotify to get your exclusive welcome offer.
This episode is brought to you by Principles. Ray Dalio, legendary investor and New York Times best-selling author, wants to pass along his understanding of how countries go broke because he believes the U.S. budget and debt situation needs to be addressed. To give you that knowledge, he has put the draft of his book, How Countries Go Broke, The Big Cycle, online for free. It's available now at economicprinciples.org.
Impact confirmed. The Slayer has been activated.
Demonic threat level increasing.
Hold the line!
All the power of hell cowering before one man.
id Software presents Doom: The Dark Ages. Available May 15th on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC. Pre-order now.
Rated M for mature.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
It's so true. It's so true. James Flippin here on the other side of midnight. Brian Kilmeade joining me right now. So talk to me about this Blue Origin story, Brian. People freaking out about this, kind of seeing it as like the privilege of celebrity, I guess, the going up into space, and then the all-female crew kind of felt like maybe they weren't being respected. First of all, the question, have you ever been offered to take part in a celebrity launch thing? And would you do it if you could go up to space like that?
I probably would, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I see another industry. I like when rich people explore different things. Mm-hmm. Instead of him hopping in a balloon, like past millionaires, and trying to do something, crazy because he's bored, Jeff Bezos says, why don't I get to space travel? I'll compete with Musk, and Musk is kicking his ass right now.
Right.
But why not? And so what he's doing is creating another space travel. Here we go, another industry. That's what we like. So if rich people can go into space, okay, you know how much tax revenue they created, how much interest they created from the broadcasting of that event to innovation that they might have. And every time they go up, we see this in all these products. Remember in the beginning, no one could afford, you don't remember this. I remember when I was in high school, no one could afford a VCR. There was a rich family with a doctor, and there's like, you got to see, they got this thing where they play back tapes in your house. You can watch a movie. Mm-hmm. Now, I remember going to his house, and this huge VCR was sitting there. Now, next thing you know, they go, someday we'll all be able to afford it. I'm like, yeah, right. Within a year, everyone had a VCR, DVD player. So now, the rich and the famous and the celebrities are going up now, Strahan and others. All right, in a little while, it's going to be like, you know what? I got a week. I'll train for Blue Origin twice, 2 days.
You're right.
And I'll go up in space.
Yeah.
The thing that gets the critics going is that they acted like, they just they went to Mars and back. They did nothing. They trained for 2 days.
Yeah, well,
they trained for 2 days.
That's right. That's right. I appreciate you saying it that way, Brian, because of course they did raise the awareness and all that, and that's a good thing. But they sort of acted like they were Galileo himself or something like that, and that's obviously taking it a little bit far. But it's a good point. The VCR for me, maybe the flat screen TV kind of having once upon a time been like a super big time thing. And then so all right, one last thing before we go, Brian, because I just wanted to get your thoughts on this. This is a case that's been generating a lot of talking points online and elsewhere, and I just wonder, what are you hearing about the Carmelo Anthony case, that terrible stabbing at the track meet down in Texas? Because it seems really bizarre to me that a guy would stab another teen at a track meet with a knife, no other knife or weapon involved that I've heard about, and then he gets bail. I could see that in New York City, for example, but in Texas, like, what's going on? Is there maybe more to it? I don't understand how it's self-defense if the other kid doesn't have a weapon, Austin Metcalf. I'm just wondering if you're hearing if there might be more to it.
Well, I give you credit for trying to bend over backwards to create some logic into the murder of another guy. I mean, do you know anybody at 17 that goes, I got a knife on me?
No.
Somebody wants me to leave a tent, so I'm going to knife them and then say it's self-defense. By the way, we don't know what he was doing under the tent, but you have a team against team. You're like, what are you doing here? Well, I'm sitting here. You going to do anything about it? Yeah. The guy's Bay walks up to him. He takes out a knife and stabs him, kills him. This is death. So the question is, are you getting 15 years or are you getting 25 years? But now he's got $450,000, maybe more. And then they put bail at $250,000. So now he moves to a gated community, and he's getting all this gratis legal advice and legal fees, pro bono, to fight against. They're going to make this a black-white thing. You just watch. In a couple of weeks when we're doing this, there's going to be Al Sharpton is down in Texas talking about how a black man can't get a fair trial in white-dominated Texas. They're going to make this a black-white thing, and it's really not.
Yeah, no, you're right, and unfortunately, in terms of like some of the chatter online and some of the calls that we get here at the station and stuff like that, it's already bending in that way, unfortunately. James Flippin on the other side of midnight. Brian Kilmeade here, Fox News, also syndicated radio host. So, Brian, what do you got coming up later today for both TV, radio, and then what's coming up this weekend on One Nation?
Well, coming up on this weekend in One Nation, Mark Thiesen's going to kick me off with. We're going to break down this Harvard situation and the whole battle they're having against the Ivy Leagues, which I think all of America should hope we win, meaning the administration. Number two, I'm going to talk about the University of Austin. They are privately funded university that demands that you have different points of view and tells you flat out how to get in, and it's revolutionizing higher education. People should be pretty pumped up about it. And we're also we have the co-host quiz, of course, and I'm going to look at what's happening, and people listening to us in New York understand they are making all these schools and soon the professional teams, not just the Redskins, lose their American Indian names. And I talked to a group that represents over 1 million American Indians and various tribes that say, we want the Braves, we want the Chiefs, we want the Blackhawks, we need the Flaming Arrows. And now in New York in particular, if you do not release your nickname that you've had since the 50s, most of these schools have been built, you will not get any federal funding. And then you use millions of dollars to rip up your fields, to change your logos and your branding. That's what New York is focused on. The worst student scores we've had in 30 years. And instead of getting massive tutoring in from the pandemic, they're trying to get American Indian logos off. So we're going to discuss that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's unfortunate because as you astutely pointed out and referenced the conversations you've had, there's a lot of people in the Native American community who say that's not desired. That's not what we're looking for. So Brian Kilmeade, the talented radio host, author, TV host, Fox News, great to catch up with you this morning. Have a great rest of the day, Brian.
You too, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to The Other Side of Midnight. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?